yogi astrologers. Welcome to Karma Yoga Center's astrological report. This is for the new moon happening in Scorpio on November 7th. And oh my gosh, what a season we're having astrologically. You probably hear astrologers say something like that all the time. I won't be covering everything, but this month of November is probably one of the more fluid months for planets and different astrological aspects, changing signs, moving directions, and having an effect on our little planet here of Earth. I'm going to talk about four major things for our report today. The first one is the moon's nodes. We've referred to them a number of different times in our reports, and they are the physical places where the moon can have an eclipse when it lines up with the sun and the Earth. And the nodes have an 18.6 year cycle. It takes them to travel around the whole zodiac. And so the nodes will spend about 1.4 years in each sign. And the nodes have been in the sign of Aquarius and Leo for the past 1.4 years, since last May 2017. And on November 6th, Election Day, they shift into Capricorn and Cancer. They'll be there until May of 2020. So let me talk about that first, what that means. The moon's nodes are two objects, or 2 points in space. One is north and one is south, the south node and north node. The north node represents our future, where we're heading to, what the direction of our evolution is. And the south node represents our past, where we've been, and what we're seeking to purify and bring into greater clarity. When the moon's nodes were in Aquarius and Leo, the south node was in Aquarius. And so that was looking at a lot of past energies, where we've been and what we want to transform around individuality, around self-expression, around trying to seek higher ideals in our society, how we relate to our social and cultural groups, how we value people as individuals or not. And the north node is in Leo, or was in Leo up until 2 days. And that is having us express ourselves or move or evolve into becoming leaders, to becoming creatives, to using our creative force and initiatory ideas to transform the world, to stand up in our own personal Kundalini and Shakti power. And the balance between the two of those is how we come into our evolution as a society. So the moon's nodes tell us a lot about our journey here on planet Earth. As they're moving now into Capricorn and Cancer, it's shifting from that Aquarius and Leo energy into a whole new way of looking at our time here on Earth. The three main words that I came up for this, or juxtapositions, is Capricorn represents patriarchy, the past, and structure. So it's patriarchy and personal. Cancer is the personal. It's your emotions. It's where you are connecting into your intuition. The other word for this could be the archaic and the ancestors. Capricorn is where we have been, where things have been locked down, the old structures, the old laws, the old government, the old rulers, the old male structure. The ancestors are the ancient ones that know both male and female are together in balance, having the matriarch and the patriarch together. And so as we come into this time, our future and evolution is looking at how can we come back into bringing together both energies? How do we use our emotional body and know who we are through that, not just through the old rules, old laws. We're here in Cleveland, Ohio, by the way, which is partly old patriarchy, and they're going through a whole evolution. So it's kind of perfect with the sound of the machines and the industry and the old way of doing things behind me. And there is an archaic beauty to it. But we're also looking to return to the nature, the wind, the trees, the seasons, the cycles, the way you feel when you engage with music, the way that you write and create is very Cancer-like. So this is our focus for the next 18 months as the nodes have transferred into this. And as I said, it happens on Election Day, Tuesday, November 6th here in the United States. And this could be a chance for us to tune in to what we want to evolve into, tuning into more natural ways of being. With the South Node in Capricorn, it doesn't mean that we throw away all structure, all rules. Capricorn and the South Node represents what we need to purify. It doesn't mean reject and throw away and say this is totally bad, but What about it is no longer useful to where we are now? What about it is rusty and needs to be transformed or recycled? And so we do need rules and laws. Capricorn in the body rules your bones. And so we need to purify from being twisted and kind of arthritic and held up in our old ways, and loosening and moving in the bones, but having structure and having a way that we can walk on our 2 feet and say what we want and point to where we want to take our society. So that's our moon transfer, our moon's nodes happening on November 6th all the way through 2020 will be that sign. The second aspect that I want to talk about is the planet Uranus. And Uranus is 7 years in a sign, and back in May of this year of 2018, it moved into the sign of Taurus for the first time in 84 years. Previously, it had been in the sign of Aries since 2011, and today, November 5th, it is going back into the sign of Aries. Uranus is retrograde for about 4 to 5 months. And so this big shift going back into Aries is talking about how that planet of, what does Uranus represent? It represents electricity, the personal unconscious, you personally, not the collective unconscious. It's your personal genius, it's your personal shadow. It's everything that you're not able to see in that shadow underworld, but it's not always bad. You can have gifts in your personal unconscious that have not been discovered yet, like the new gifts on how you're going to create new structure for this planet, new ideas, new creative, but you need to engage with it and to go into it. Aries is the sign of personality, who you are as an individual, how you want to express yourself, that power in you that says, let's go for it. And so this time, during the elections, during this nodal shift, we can get our superhero Aries cape on and go back in and say, what do we need to fix and go back? I'm going to use my personal intuition and guide back with Mother Earth and behind me and the animals and the planet and the farmers, and we're going to transform things and be superheroes. And that is the opportunity of Uranus going back into the sign of Aries just for a few months, and then it's going to cruise back into Taurus for 7 years until 2026. Taurus has to do with money, with finance systems, with farming, with getting into your personal sensuality, how you use your senses, how we engage with this planet as individuals. And so we go back, find our personal power, tell the patriarchy what we want and how we're going to do it, and then we go do it. Taurus puts the plow into the earth and makes things happen. Taurus gets the hands on the clay and starts making the pots. Taurus decides how we're going to eat food and feed it to our children. Taurus says, this is how I'm going to use my money and resources for things that are positive and new structure in the world. Taurus is very harmonious with the sign of Capricorn. So we can use this Uranus-Taurus / Aries energy to help fix the south node of what we want to purify from the past and create something for our children, for our ancestors return and guide us, that Cancer North Node sign. So that's number 2. The third one is the actual new moon. This is the new moon report, and the new moon is going to be in the sign of Scorpio. When the moon is new, it's hanging out right with the sun, and they're in the same sign. So we'll have the sun and the moon in Scorpio along with the planet Jupiter. And Scorpio is all about intimacy and getting really deep into what's in your underworld, what needs to come to the surface. And again, as I was saying, the shadow in the underworld is not always what is bad. It can be those hidden gifts, or that in my pocket I have an acorn. The acorn that's in the soil underneath the black rich earth that can't be seen. That's Scorpio energy. And within it, you have the potential of everything that can come out of it. Capricorn, the structure of the big oak tree, its leaves, its abundance. We took a walk yesterday here in Cleveland with my wife Katrina and my mom Kathy, and we would walk past an oak tree and there would be thousands of acorns underneath one oak tree. The possibility of what you can do, the abundance from Mother Earth, this fallacy that there is scarcity of resources and scarcity that everybody can't have what they need on this planet is something that the old patriarchy has put in our mindset and that we carry forward. And I think we can start to transform that and say there is abundance and enough for everybody, and we can make it happen. There's enough need, there's not enough for greed. And so this new moon in Scorpio is a last opportunity to pull things up from that underworld and look at it and say, what do we want to do for the future? What do we want to transform? What needs to come out of this? And how do we become intimate with each other again? How do we speak our feelings? How do we become honest? How do we become caring and sensitive? And I think that is a really great way to use this new moon Scorpio energy. The last aspect I want to talk about is the planet Jupiter, the big dog in the sky, and it is taking a journey around the sun. It takes 12 years for Jupiter to go all the way around, so the sun spends 1 month in a sign, Jupiter spends 1 year. Jupiter's been in the sign of Scorpio that I just talked about, the moon will be in, and it is transferring into the sign of Sagittarius on November 8th, 2 days after the election. Sagittarius is going to be dominating our astrological weather for the next couple months and year. Jupiter will be there for a year. The sun goes in there on the 22nd. The moon is there now. The planet Mercury just went in there 4 days ago, and Venus will be cruising up into there in early January. Sagittarius has to do with the truth, has to do with the journey that we're taking as a personal journey and also as a collective. I think with Jupiter coming into Sagittarius, after it's been in Scorpio of turning and churning up the underworld of what's been in the shadows, with sexuality, with expression of money, with other people's resources, with government, it's been a tough, challenging year for many people, both individually and as a society, and for the government, for politics, for the world. And now when we get into Sagittarius, it's the archer, and she's holding back the bow and has clarity of where she wants to go. She's pointing to the horizon line and sees the potential of what we can do to heal our planet. And I think when Jupiter crawls in there, or rolls into there, we'll have this new perspective of where we want to go with what we've seen for the past year. What do we want to do with the Me Too movement? What do we want to do with what's happened in our politics? What do we want to do with the way we eat our food and how we use our personal resources? And what's the visionary way to get there? This is a positive time in a way that we can come into some greater community and coming together with a vision and a new belief for our planet. I also believe there will be challenges, because as we get a clarity on the truth, there might be a little recoil back of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is how it's been for the past 400 years, 50 days, whatever it's been. And we need to come together and say, where do we want our new vision to go? We're all on the hero's journey. So how do we get together as a band of heroes and find where we want to take this energy? Jupiter is faith, it's positivity, it's exuberance. It's saying, yes, I want this, I want to do that. And so I think with all this energy of Mercury, the moon, the sun going into Sagittarius, we can start to march forward and look where our vision's going. We're marching towards 2020, which I won't talk much about here, but there's an astrological alignment with Jupiter, with Saturn, with Pluto, and with the moon's south node, which hasn't happened in over 5,000 years, that is giving us an opportunity to say, where do we want to go for the future? The last little half bit I'll talk about, 4.5, is just to mention on November 16th, Venus, who's been retrograde, as Katrina says, she's been on retreat in the underworld, hanging out with the sun, she'll turn direct, and she'll make her way back through the shadow of the degrees where she's been, from Libra 25 degrees up to Scorpio 10. So for this next 6 weeks, she'll be retracing things that she started to trace over going way back to September. So look back to your life for that, for Venus, for your relationships, for your love connection, about what that's going to be. And on the same day, 12 hours later, Mercury, who's the other inner planet to the sun, turns backwards and goes retrograde for 3 weeks. Mercury has to do with communication, with your inner dialogue, and what you want to put out in the world with your words, with your ideas, with your concepts, with your little antenna. Where do you want to tune into? The day before that, on November 15th, the planet Mars, which takes 2 years to go around the sun, is going into the sign of Pisces after 6 months in Aquarius. It had been retrograde in Aquarius and going back and forth, and now Mars in Pisces, it's a masculine planet in a very feminine, sort of chaotic, no boundary. Chaos is where we have the dark soil that brings the seed back to life. Possibility of what we want to do. And I think this is a time for the masculine to heal. It's like going back into the womb, going back into nature. So that's our little 4.5 point there. We look forward to connecting with you with our next report, and enjoy a little bit of cleaning.